already had Paul. They already had Jesus. And now Jesus is saying, John, write these letters. One of them was to Laodicea. So all these chances that church had, where's that church today? It's gone. All those churches are gone. And that was in 95. Almost 2,000 years ago. So don't you think today, after having so many Bibles in our house, we just need one, but we have so many, don't you think that we probably should at least be aware that we could become lukewarm, or we could be deceived and think everything's fine and it's not? Maybe in 2,000 years, we should have advanced more, maybe. What has happened? It's called warfare, which is my final point. Because you have all this progression of revelation, you get to the place where now you have angel armies. However, at the end of the age, we should be to the place where we have graduated and learned from the past and discern that when warfare comes, warfare only wants to neutralize you, only wants to get you to compromise, because Satan is fearing that you might start to gain momentum to where others around you gain momentum. And they start to say, I want to be like that. This devil doesn't want people to get together with a common purpose and hook up with God in a generation and actually agree on anything. Satan doesn't want us to have any unity. He doesn't want us to agree on anything. Because he knows if we agree on anything, there's nothing that we're not going to be able to do. All of us together can change the history of this country. We can do it tonight in the service tonight. We could change. And I mean that, where you will go to heaven and God will pull you aside. Jesus will pull you aside. We'll show you this meeting. We'll show you everyone's heart in here and what happened inside, and how we determined that we are not going to be a failure in this generation, but we will fulfill what God had for us in this generation, and that you will see in heaven that it was ordained for us all to be here, and that we all were transformed. And because of that step we took, Switzerland changed, and you'll see what happened. It started in the spirit, and the people in the government didn't even know it. They didn't know it. It happened while they were sleeping. I'm telling you, I've seen this. I saw this in heaven. I've been in the future. I know how this works. How it works is people need to be introduced to the divine nature. And then they need to allow God to transform them in the promises that he's given us to where we partake of the divine nature. And then God starts to use us to work in a generation and change the calendar, change the pathway of a nation, of a people. I'm telling you the truth. And I'm telling you what we're doing here, we don't have to leave this building. We don't have to leave this building to do it. Once we decide that we are not going to be compromised and that we will see a miracle in this nation and in the nations of the world, every one of them, there's 11 represented right now. Every nation, it will be shown to you, something happened right now. You'll be shown it. I know, I was there. You have to make a point. You have to make a point in a generation. You have to make a mark by determining that you're standing for justice and righteousness and God's plan and purpose for us. And then you never let go of it. And then you start to produce fruit in your own life. You start to allow the Holy Spirit to produce fruit. And you'll start to see things change and move. You won't understand it. You don't have to. You can be healed and not even understand healing. You don't have to understand healing to be healed. You can receive revelation. I'm believing that right now that most of you are receiving revelation right now by the Spirit. You don't even understand what's happening in the room. The reason why is because God is doing it even though you don't understand it. That through the promises of God, that we could be partakers of the divine nature and escape the corruption that's in the world through lust. So we are attracted to God. We are not attracted to the world. We have stood out separate from the world. We're not trying to fit in because we won't fit in. We've been made new creations. The old has passed away. So we are partakers of the divine nature. Now, these days, most churches would kick you out if you said you were a partaker of the divine nature. Well, who do you think you are? God? No, but I'm his child. And he's given us a spirit, and he's saying that we're partakers of that divine nature, which means we ought to look like our Father. But what did Jesus say to the Pharisees, the denomination of the day, the head honchos in religion? Jesus said, you're like your father, the devil. He says, when you talk, you lie just like him. In fact, you're speaking, your native language is the language of the devil. He said, you brood of vipers. He was mad that someone had warned them. He goes, why are you coming out to me? Has somebody warned you of the coming wrath? He was mad like someone had warned them. He didn't want them to be warned. He said, you make a convert, and you make him twice the son of hell that you are. That's what he said. How do you like that if he said that to the Pope? Think about it. He was talking to the religious leaders of the day, and he's saying, you're supposed to be taking yokes off of people, and you're putting them on them. You're supposed to be setting people free. He said, he who the Son sets free is free indeed. He said, Paul said, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Okay, so that the Spirit of the Lord is here, you should feel freer than you did a minute ago. If Jesus is your Savior and he has set you free, then you're free indeed. Period. So your jail cell is open. I would vacate. So are you free? Are you free? Yes. Okay, why are you free? Because the Son has set you free, and the Spirit of the Lord is inside of you. So if the Spirit of the Lord is inside of you, then you're free. Because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. This is the absolute truth.